So let me blather on a little bit. Yeah, I think most of you know me. I'm Steve, and been running CAD school for a bit over 25 years. I was looking back over the history of Vectorworks and MiniCAD, and I think it started in about 85, and I had my first computer was a Mac 2CX, which I didn't know what date I'd actually bought that, but I looked up on the history, and that was 1989. And I think the whole package I bought was about £5,000, including the printer. You'd get an awful lot for that these days, wouldn't you?
Mm.
Yeah, so that's what we were working on. And 3D was a very tiresome affair. Lots of hidden line removals and all sorts of things. So things have changed an awful lot.
My first one was a Mac SE.
And now I hesitate to mention, but obviously, doing this demonstration, I have to buy a PC. Just a little word about kit. Obviously, we're showing these three programs, two of which only work on a PC, but they all require a very good graphics card. And if you want to know, what sort of graphics card to get, or whether your graphics card is up to it, there's, I think I might have mentioned a website last time, which is called Passmark software, and you can get a score on your graphics card from Passmark software. And we're looking for something ideally around 10,000. A MacBook Pro in its best format won't reach that, but nonetheless, it does seem to work well. Certainly with Twinmotion, which is the only one that works on a Mac anyway. So I know a lot of people are Mac users out there. If you really want to get going on this real-time stuff and use 3D goggles, then you will have to either buy a Mac or have Boot Camp installed on buy a PC rather. You might have to have Boot Camp installed on your Mac if you definitely can use a Mac. So let me launch away into showing my screen, and let's just put everyone down underneath here. I've got Lumion open here, and I just thought I'd give you a quick flick through Lumion before we go into showing you Vectorworks and Lumion together. Having just talked about hardware, when you open up Lumion, you do get a benchmark, which is really good. So it benchmarks your system and shows you, are you up to spec with it? Obviously really want to be above minimal and hopefully above recommended. And apart from my system memory, we're doing pretty well. Processor it loves, graphics card is 70%, so we're doing all right. I've got a 2070 Super, which came with my second-hand gaming PC, and that worked well. Sometimes you have to have it full screen to get all the buttons. The other thing I wanted to show was that they're very good. They're very established, Lumion. They're the oldest of the three rendering programs we're talking about, and so they're very established. They've got lovely example files, which are all sort of kitted out and looking gorgeous already. If we have a chance, we may go back into those. Obviously, you can load your files, save your files from there, and create new ones. When you do create a new, you don't have to start with a blank environment. You can start with a field and or a beach if you're doing that, or even a winter environment. I don't think I've even played with winter environments yet, but that's there. What I'm going to do is load an existing file. I'm going to then minimize. Well, I'm going to have Lumion have half the screen initially, and then we'll go back to full screen of Lumion. Okay, so I've got a file which we used last time as well, which was my friends who were having a big extension done on this house and making it look much nicer than it did before. So we're going to start. We've got a Lumion button here, which we've put into the tool sets. I think you have to add that to the tool set. And then we can synchronize our file. And then it does take a little while sometimes for it to synchronize, but there we've got our file synchronized in Lumion and Vectorworks. Lumion is also very much a standalone program. Sorry, my Wi-Fi aerials just dropped off. A bit different to Enscape. An awful lot more happens within the Lumion program rather than in Enscape. Pretty well everything happened within Vectorworks. We added lights, we added trees, we added these things called proxies within Vectorworks, and then everything showed up in Enscape. In Lumion, we can import files into the Lumion program, or we can use this live sync, and we can import files from different programs and locations. So you can import maybe the neighbor's house in SketchUp, or various props you want in SketchUp. So we've got our live sync. We can put things in Vectorworks, and they'll appear immediately in Enscape. In Lumion, just like before. So if we just do a simple extrude here, and maybe even give it some solid fill, there it appears in the Lumion window. So we won't do anything more in Vectorworks for the moment, but let me now go to Lumion and bring it to be full screen. Okay, so when we're dealing with this, it took me quite a while to get into Lumion and understand where everything is. A lot more complexity than the other programs, but once you understand it, like anything, once you know it, it's easy. I've also had a little play, as you can see, with a few other things. I've got a landscape here where I've pulled up some mountains and hills and things like that. I've also, because Lumion has very good, water effects, I've got a swimming pool here. And at the moment, the swimming pool is green. Why is it green? Because the landscape is showing through the swimming pool. So the first thing I'm going to do to this swimming pool is use a special thing. So I'm going to go to place something. So this is placing an object. I'm going to go to these utilities, and I'm going to go to a cut. So we're going to place a cutter here. And then I'm going to go to the selection tool, and we're going to make it bigger. So it's now cutting through the landscape so I can see the pool water. I haven't done anything to the pool water. It's recognized it just from the name that it is pool water. Moving on to the materials though, I can go to the landscape water, and I can play around with the settings of the water. I can also click back on the icon here to get back to the material library, and we can go back and choose water, or go to one of the other materials we've got here. Under various, we've got other waters, and then you can see lots and lots of rather tempestuous and unclean swimming pool, but we'll go back to a calm swimming pool. Now, just to sort of give you a little bit of an overview what Lumion is about. Lumion is very different to the others in that it comes with a massive library of both objects to add and materials. It's very much sort of complete package. You're paying a big amount of money for lots and lots of objects and materials. So from that point of view, you're getting you're paying a lot, but you don't have to buy in models and things from other places. It's all in there. So the moment I'm materials, I've changed material, I tick, I'm out of the materials. Going back to the content library, which is the bulk of what we want in Lumion is accessing their content library. We've got all these categories of library. We've got nature, fine detail, nature, people, effects, chairs, outdoors, cars, transport, lights, and even sound. So massive libraries. I think there's 5,800 and something or other objects in the library. So a massive library. I think Enscape had about 2,000 objects in their library, so it's still not bad, but not nearly. I think that library, Enscape doesn't have any materials as such, whereas Lumion has hundreds. So we're in this thing called build mode. Hang on a minute, someone's just sent something in the chat. What industry is this aimed at? What sort of things would be in the library? Yeah, so let me show you as we go along that that we can show you also the website where it shows you all the libraries, so you can look for yourself. But we'll see as we go along. I've left this Vectorworks file, on purpose a little bit bare. It's always difficult to know where to start. First of all, navigation. You navigate in Lumion using WASD keys, so I can walk forwards, move sideways. You can accelerate that using the Shift key as well, so I can move fast. I can use the mouse, click and drag for panning. Again, Shift key makes it go faster, Shift key, and the spacebar makes it go even faster. So all these programs use WASD keys, so very good for gamers. Right mouse drag with all of them is changing where you're pointing. So moving around quickly is usually walking forwards or backwards, but pointing where you're looking with WASD keys. Now, I'm just going to get my other screen up, and so I don't go off piste completely, I will just see if I can get through these things. So I've shown the pool, I've shown the landscape cutter, and we've got the landscape, as you can see, in the background there. And if I do go to the landscape here, I've got various tools where I can paint in order to both paint the landscape and raise and lower it. So you can sculpt the landscape by going to this sort of paintbrush, which has a certain size, and you can, here's me, I could make sort of a golf course, or I could make a range of mountains by raising and lowering things. When you raise things to a certain extent, it's actually going to give you rocks on vertical faces. So that's a little bit on the landscape. Obviously, as designers, you're probably going to design your own landscape, but this may be good for things in the background. You can also lower and flatten and things like that. So we can do that, and then maybe do a bit of flattening to make it slightly less. There we go. So that's a bit on the landscape. Don't want to concentrate too much on that. Let's move on now to, a little bit on the weather. Actually, no, I was going to do that later. One of my obsessions is, or things I really want to compare all the programs on, because we've done the same model, the same for all three programs, so we can make some good comparisons. So one of the things, especially for outdoor scenes, and notice I have started on an outdoor scene. So that question I had earlier about, who's this aimed at? Well, of course it can do interiors and exteriors, but I think it's massively advantageous when you're doing landscapes outside. Obviously, even if you just an architect, you're an architect, you still have to have things outside your house, unless you're just going to show it in a blank space. So let's have a look at grass. So to change my object here to grass, I'm going to the materials, so a bit like color picker, and this has come straight from Vectorworks. So now I want to go to various, and these are, I've got 2D grass and I've got 3D grass. And this is another area where I think Lumion excels over the others, although you have to make up your mind about Twinmotion, because Twinmotion is very different how it does it. But here I've got, 14 different grasses, where I can just simply click on this grass and choose the different type of grass, whether you want mown grass, double mown grass, or whatever. If you double click on that the grass you're choosing, then we can change the settings. You can see lots and lots of settings. So map scale, so I can make the squares smaller or bigger. Again, if I don't like that, I can go back to this and choose from different radial, checkerboard, circular, where are we? I just want some row grass. That's maybe what I want. So double click on that and I can rotate that. I can rotate it. So many things, map rotation. There we go. So very easy to snap to 90 degrees, very easy to scale it down. And if we just go down to sort of root level, you can see very, very detailed grass. Yeah, we can also, change the roughness and the cut. So that's lowering the cut of the grass. Again, coming down to see what's happened. So we've got very detailed grass here. I think, very much big tick. 8 out of 10 maybe on the grass. Okay, so I've on purpose left out some hedging here, which in Enscape we added some hedging using their hedging objects. So let's do that in Lumion. and see what different tools we've got here. So we're saying tick to that, and we're going back to the content library, and I'm going to nature. So nature and place. Over here we've got things like placing, selecting, rotating, scaling, deleting, etc. Okay, so I'm placing some nature, so I go to place, and when I go to place, I get the library. Now you can see lots of categories here, conifers, grasses, rocks, forests, woods. I'm not quite sure where to find my hedge, so I'm going to click on the find button. Already I've got hedge here, and this is the hedge I think I'm going to use. If you hold down the R key, as I place it, I can make sure it's in the right orientation. Now I can just sort of place a hedge here, hedge there, etc. But sorry, I've got us in the way down here. But I don't want to do that. Oh, come on! Why can't I do this? Okay, so I'm back on selection. That's good. Selection, deleting. I can delete them individually. There's also a way of selecting similar ones. So back to placing, and if I search, I can find this. So I can place things individually, but you can see there's 4 different placement types. So I can place linearly, I can place in a little cluster, and I can paint place. And a lot of this is very clever indeed. So if I go to the end of the beginning of my driveway here, we can put a plant there, and we can bring that up. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way around. Where am I? All right, that's right, sorry, to the end of the garden here. So I'm just going to do that, I can navigate while I'm doing that. There we go. And I'm just going to put shy of that there. So I click there, and it's got some hedges there on a path. So it's like duplicate along a path. But what I can do is I can increase the number of items, so I can have my cluster of hedges. Now, my hedges aren't quite as tall as I want them. So what I'm going to do is leave them there. I don't want to randomize direction. That's all good. So I'm going to tick that. Then what I'm going to do is go back to selection. I'm going to select one of the hedges and select all of them. I've got this nice little pull out here. It's not there, you can pull it out, and I can select identical objects. No, why hasn't it selected all these ones as well? Okay, well, I can select identical, all in the same category. Okay, so that's selected all in the same category. Okay, so from there, I can go to my scale tool, and we can scale up these hedges. Now, well, it's very sensitive, the scaling thing, and maybe all the parameters are very sensitive, and they give you a nice thing. If you hold down the shift key, you can do, you've got a fine control of the size. So yeah, that's about the size I want it. Maybe the size of the fence there. I can deselect all, and then of course I can just alt drag something. Oops, that's someone's scale, which doesn't help. So what I want to do now is select this hedge and simply move a copy of it. So if I hold down the Alt key and drag, I can simply move a copy in the normal sort of way as well. As always happens in a demo, things don't happen quite as easy as they happened when you did it. So that's my hedge. What you can also do as you go along a line, and there's lots I'm not going to be able to show you for time, but let's just have a little go at it. When you're placing things, let's go and cancel that. Let's place a number of. A lot of this stuff I haven't even done fully. I just know it's there. But if we're placing say we're placing a line of things, and I go to a tree here. So as I place along this line, I've got things along a line. I've got a distribution, and yeah, I can also make the line bigger, but I've got a distribution of objects along that line. So I can add different objects along that line. You can also obviously take those away, double click to remove, and increase the number of items along the tree. So mass placement, it's really got it taped. So I'll just click on across and not do that at all. You've also got paint placement, and paint placement, just let's stand back. So again, choosing what to paint, and then, whoa, I'm painting a forest. I mean, this is spectacular in its quantities. If you've got things around to paint like that, fantastic possibilities there. Again, I've got something on the chat. Let's just see if there's anything. Do Lumion offer free trial? Yes, they do. You have to apply for it. You can't just download. They want your details. If anyone does want to is interested in either free trial or buying it, please come through me for that. We're not an official reseller, but just to pay for our time in demonstrating it. If you come through us, then that's going to help us. Thank you. We can also we can delete also by painting. So very, very spectacular in the quantity of plants we got here and the ease with which we can do mass placements. We can easily make forests, and yeah, we don't want to have too much of that there. So I'm very aware there's so much content in Lumion and so many tools that I could be here for a long time demonstrating, but I did start on the outside because I thought the outside was a good thing. So show the vast library, I've said, change material. We've sort of done a bit of changing materials, but let's go and just have a look at the bricks a moment. These bricks have come in from Vectorworks, so let's look at changing them. So we've done with that. We're back to painting, and we can paint these bricks. Now, I can stick with the Vectorworks brick by saying, okay, we'll make that into a standard Lumion material, and then I can change various things a bit, including things like displacement maps and normal maps, which will give it some more bumpiness. But if I click back here, I can go back to the library, and if I go to outdoor and bricks, I've got 4 pages of bricks. You architects out there are sort of rubbing your hands in glee. However big the library is they give bricks, though, it's quite likely that you'll find that some of these bricks or some of the materials are just not what you want. So you do have to edit, and you can edit your own bricks. So just the ones with D do have this thing called displacement mapping. So I just wanted to show what that looked like. So if I double click, go into the settings, and we've got here the displacement of the brick and the relief of the brick. So you can see the sort of the mortar. It's a bit of a rough mortar. I don't think I'd have liked that on my house, but yeah, you can play around with the displacement here. You can see the brick coming right out, and yeah, we don't want it coming out quite that much. So pretty rough. I think I probably need that redone in the summer if I had that. So that's looking at their materials and how we can replace them. Evermotion, a very good supplier of, you can buy things from Evermotion yourself, to go with Vectorworks or Enscape or anything else. So lots and lots of materials, and you can replace materials, add things to them. Something else I want to show, just because it's fun. If I go to my fence panel here and just make it a standard material, one of the things I can do is have things growing up my fence here. So here, if I increase the spread here, I can have things growing up my fence, which is quite fun. Okay, so what's growing up my fence? So I've got leaf size, I've got leaf type, and all sorts of different sort of ivy. It's really meant for sort of, I think, rough stuff, probably stuff you don't want to be growing up your fence. So if I just sort of maybe just have a little bit of it, that's quite fun. There's also individual bits of ivy and stuff that you can put over your objects, but that's just one of the many sort of fun things within Lumion that you can do. The devil's in the detail for your rendering. So sometimes this stuff is just what's needed. Lots and lots of detail just to make it look less like a new build. Yeah, more of the objects. Oh no, let's okay, we've finished editing that material. Back to home, placing. what other things we want to place. So indoor, outdoor, what have we got on outdoor? So all sorts of actual fences, which of course we can do multiple placement on, traffic cones, industrial stuff, not quite sure that is, waste, bins, utilities. Just a little flick through is good. Some of them have several pages of things, signs. Yeah, looks like most of them could be used in the UK. Construction, ladders, assorted, buildings. We can even put some buildings in next door. They look a little bit Lego-like, but yeah, I'm sure some of those buildings are good. So we want something next door. Here's a complete house to put next door. Oh, I'm placing a street of them. Didn't want to do that. So just individual placement of a house next door. Bit of context might be useful. Okay, it does have a full layer system up here, so you can put things onto layers and then hide the layers, by the way, as well. So it's escape on that. So massive library, you know, obviously the sort of things we want to probably some garden furniture, some benches, things like that, which we can place individually like that. Okay, I'm not going to go into the library. We'd be here all day if I did that. Show the vast library, change of materials, show leaf growth on material, done that. Show sun and sky. Okay, so, you know, everything's as good as its worst bit. I'm not saying at all that Lumion's got, that this is a worst bit, it's not. But sun and sky. So if we go back to here, we've got a tab here for weather. And initially what we've got here is simply the sun direction. So we can go around in a circle here. We've got the sun height. And as we come towards sunset, you know, things are going to go a little bit blue, pink, nice pink clouds. We've got sun brightness, cloudiness, so we can increase the cloudiness. And a lot of these things can be animated, so you can actually have cloudiness appearing. Wind direction is going to affect which way things which way things blow, ripples on the pools, and sorts of things like that. You've also got that. This is sort of computer generated clouds, which are not always the most realistic, but they're not bad. But we've also got something called real skies, and we had I can't remember what Enscape called it, but a skybox, something like that, and that's what we've got here. So this is real panoramic skies. That, but with this real panoramic sky, the sun is in a particular position in the photograph. So of course we can't alter. We can alter where the sun is, north, south, east, and west, and then we get the sun, and the shadow comes. You know, the sun is coming from the sun in the photograph. What we can't do is make our own real skies. We can choose from a whole load of things that they've given you there. So they've got cloudy ones, morning ones, overcast one, sunset ones, clear ones, and night ones. So we've even got the Northern Lights. Just what you want, I'm sure, in a lovely place in Scotland. So we can choose a nice sunny day. That'd be nice, but you know, we've chosen the time of day already, so we can't change that. If we turn off real skies, then we're in total control. Some of you may be asking, and there's another question there. I don't mind taking these as we go. If you've linked your Vectorworks GIS, will it import to Lumion so it knows the north point? Sort of quick answer to that in a sense is no, but you can, I'll probably show it later, you can geolocate this. This looks all very sort of ho-hum, you know, in putting this in a place which looks nice and all the rest. We'll show you later, there's lots of additional things you can add to Lumion, not as in plugins, but that need to be added from outside. But when we go to photo mode and things, we can add these effects, and one of them is the geolocation type thing, so we can tell it. But it's not going to link to Vectorworks. You will have to tell it where it is in the world. In terms of linked in Vectorworks, really what we're linking is the model, the initial textures, and that's pretty well it. If we add things in Lumion, we're adding them obviously to Lumion. And sorry, let's just put this down out of the way. It's blinding me. But what's not coming through, which is really annoying, are things like lights. I've got to place lights all by myself, which is quite frankly a pain. But you know, also of course is, you know, here we've got a fantastic library. We've got all sorts of, you know, nice skies that gives us lots and lots and lots of content. The other thing to note, just so that you, yeah, okay. So I was going to maybe show a man in the pool swimming around. That's all possible. So what you've got in Lumion, yeah, I'm not here to rubbish Lumion anyway. I'm really here to show what the best is of Lumion and allow you to make the decision as to what's good for you. But yeah, we've got the ability to animate objects in Lumion, so we can have walking people, driving cars, you have lanes of traffic, all sorts of things like that, and we can even have a guy swimming up and down the pool. So I'll attempt to show you that. Go back to my content library. We'll go to people, animals, and we're placing a person. So somewhere in here, we're going to have a person swimming. Here we go. Caucasian man swimming. So here we've got a man swimming in the pool, and he's got an animation stroke, but he's not going anywhere very fast because he's up against the wall. We can, I think, go and rotate him, and we could have that. Now, to have him animated, we have to do this inside of animation, and what we're in, the area we're in at the moment is called build mode. So we're in build mode. Here we go, build mode. The output from Lumion are still photos, panoramas, and movies. Those are the three outputs. There's no sort of web view. There's no, we can't put on 3D goggles and walk around like we could in the other ones. And really, this is just you know, if you see this side by side with Vectorworks, it's not a lot better than Vectorworks. Okay, it is a bit better than Vectorworks, but it's really OpenGL quality. The real quality comes, we've got to go further with our quality into things like the photo studio and the movie studio. So if I go to the movie studio here, actually, I think I did one. Did I do one earlier here? No, I think what I did here was to have some people. Okay, so I've made a little movie here. I'm not really, don't want that. So let's just show you if I can remember clearly enough how to animate this guy. So here I've got a keyframe of a movie. A lot of them work the same way. So I've got a keyframe. Maybe as he swims down the other end, I'm going to change the camera and I'm going to add another keyframe. That's going to happen over 4 seconds, or I can increase that to 10 seconds. Okay, so that's how you make a movie. So that's soft start, round it goes, but he's not moving anywhere. Okay, so let's say, yes, we've got that. And we need to add an effect, FX. We need to add an effect, and it is animation, and it's just going to be a move. Okay, so I'm going to click on here, and we're going to tell it that this is the person we're going to move. Okay, and need to be in move mode. That would be better. And we're going to move him down the other end of the pool. So this is the end position. This is the start position. That's it. Done it. So now over the animation, if I play the animation, we've got this guy swimming, and it looks about the right sort of speed. Obviously, you've got to adjust the speed so that these things look realistic. Not too hard to do. That's animation. There's also various other animations that you can do, effects you can do, which is mass move. So anything, it's like a moving carpet. Anyone on this carpet's going to move. Could be people, could be cars, and you can tell it not to use cars and just to use people, or vice versa. So that's very, very useful. Those paths can go around corners. Animated phasing can bring in things like they're landing from heaven or from under the earth. And these are some of the things you can do to animate. So moving on. 3D output, stills, animations, and panoramas. Yeah, the other thing to say, if I just go to stills for a moment, and we say, okay, I'm going to store this camera. This is like sort of saved views. As I said, this is not, generally we're going to add more effects to our renders to get the finished product. This is not as good as it can get. So what we can do is go to a custom style, and we can say realistic. And this adds a number of effects, all at the same time. So, okay, not quite sure what it's going to bring in, but we're going to bring in realistic. And now a whole load of effects have been put in. It's forced me to use real skies. Okay, I can turn off the effect, but there's particular effects for reflection. And there's more to be said about reflections. We've got things called reflection planes. So if I add a reflection plane, it's going to make the reflection in that object much better. Without that, it's sometimes a bit of a fuzzy reflection. It reflects sky and the sky in pretty well everything. It's more a matter of it reflecting other objects rather than the sky in it. So we have to faff around a little bit, whereas the other programs sort of do it without a bit of faff. But sometimes the faff is worth it because because it just brings something in that is good. I'm going to do a lot more of this in the interior model that I've looked at. So time's ticking along. I knew it would be like last time. So something I put in my notes here is there's no VR as such, so no putting on the goggles and things like that, but you can do for panoramas. And so if you make a few panoramas, you can connect sort of Oculus Rift goggles and look around those panoramas, but you can't walk around a scene like you can in the others. So, I talked about virtual reality. Well, what is virtual reality? It's that's a moot point as to exactly what virtual reality is, but real-time rendering was the other thing. We've got lots of nice things like lens flares, etc. Now I'm going to come out of this, but by the way, to render, you can render various views, you can change the views, store them, and you can render them. If you render them, it is going to look a little bit better than this, but I can render it. I can tell it, what size. Doesn't look like we can do any, I can tell it what size and where it's going to go and save it. If I give it a name, Next. And then when it's rendering, you'll see. Okay, in this case, what we saw in the preview window was pretty well what we were going to get. We'll see in other examples how that's slightly different. Okay, so now I'm going to open my other file. So let's just load my Sophie kitchen. So I've done our exterior and we're going to go to interior. And I've done my best with the interior. And I don't think I've done a bad job. And I don't think it's far behind the others, if it is behind the others. But I think that what I'd say is there's just a whole load more faff. So if you're an interior designer, in fact, while this is going, I've got a little poll for you. It's just a simple poll of which discipline you're part of. Interesting to see who we've got. So, okay, so we got interiors and landscape, exteriors, buildings. Oh, it's very even. 40, 40, 30. Good mix. Okay. Interiors and buildings is overtaking landscape, but we've still got 30% landscape. And I guess you architects are probably interested in landscape as well. So that looks like pretty well everyone's voted. 10, 26. We got I think we had 27 last time. Okay, so end polling and share results. There you go. So that's who we've got here. Fantastic, thank you. So this is our interior scene, and I'll just put that there, put Vectorworks next to it, and get Sophie's house here. So you remember Sophie's house. Those who weren't with us before, I was showing how Vectorworks is very good at rendering, but it's very slow. So if I go to Steve Render here, this is render done inside of Vectorworks. I don't know whether you're surprised how good it is or think that could do better, but I think that's pretty good. I'd give myself a 7 out of 10 for realism. I know I could do better, and Vectorworks can do better. Anyway, that's a render, and see, it took 3 minutes to render on my machine, which is a reasonable machine. It's not a big powerhouse, but it's a reasonable machine. Whereas we're talking about these real-time renders rendering in a matter of seconds and seeing a preview in real time. Okay, so let's go back to a preset view from the table here maybe. Let's put Vectorworks on the side here and go to my Lumion and start the synchronization between the two. It does sometimes take a little while, but once it's synchronized, then we should get our views changing. Sometimes I have to give it a little jerk by maybe rotating a bit in one, and sometimes it just comes back on stream. There we go, we're on stream. So, you know, that's all I'm gonna show you there. Now, I've done a bit of work in this scene already, so it's a bit wrong to show you it like this straight away. I've already put some lights in Lumion, and it took me a little while to get them absolutely spot on. Excuse the pun. I'm a dad. I'm allowed dad jokes, but to get them absolutely in the right place, I had a little bit of work to do there, but get them in the right place. Spotlights in Lumion, we can actually, let's just get that to be full screen. We can actually tell them to show, so the objects there, if I go to my lights here, you know, there's a light here, I've told it certain cone angle, I've said show light source. So it's got a glowing disc there, which is part of the light, which is different to most other CAD programs. So deselect all, and you're not showing the lights. Now, I think, you know, the comparison at the moment between this and Enscape, you'd just reject this completely. But we're in this build mode, which is not the final mode. So we go from build mode, say, to photo mode, and I've got here this this particular photo here, and I put in one effect already, the sun. It's a custom style. I can remove the sun effect, and then the sun's just going to be how we were in build mode. You've got this thing called ambient occlusion here, but it's really just not looking very good. The reflection of the light's too bright, and the reflection in there is no good. Now, because of the time, and, you know, we're coming to 2:45, and I know, you know, by 2 o'clock, I expect everyone will have disappeared. So I'm going to do a bit of Blue Peter on this. Here's one I prepared earlier. And here we've added a load of effects, and this is a lot better. You know, you're breathing a sigh of relief, or, you know, if you were Lumion makers, you'd breathe a sigh of relief. Phew, he does know a little bit about Lumion. But we've had to add these things. You can add them in a sort of whole style. I've added this style called interior, and I've tweaked it. You can turn off some of the effects, but I found lens flare was a good effect to add. So, you know, in lens flare, I've just made these lights glow a little bit more, and I found that really quite good. You know, streak count, master brightness. Yeah. So, you know, that's, you know, a bit too much, but yeah, so we can play with these effects, and it's not real time. You know, the moment I change my camera view, it has to rebuild the effect. So it's not quite real time, but it is, and I've had to do things, add reflection planes, bit of faff. Obviously, I could go to my content library and put all sorts of kettles and jugs and people, and let's just add a person in as a sort of final thing. Also, you know, if I were to render this desktop, I think it's going to be big enough to show us, and we'll just make that kitchen 4, and you'll see that the rendering stage doesn't take very long. So we can save that, and yeah, gradual sort of, you know, it's enhancing it as it goes along the rendering. And I think that's a fairly decent result, but it did take a lot more faff. That's so it is also, of course, it depends what you're doing it for. So show effects, whole scene effects, individual effects, all sorts of effects. You know, I'm not going to, I was going to put someone in the scene, wasn't I, just as a finale. So, you know, I'm just going to go back to build mode, where it's not going to look so nice. I'm going to go to people, placing, and we've got all sorts of people as well as animals. So I can decide whether it's girls or boys, or 3D people, static, or we've got animated people as well. Okay, so yeah, there we go. There's a person dressed for the cold. If you, there we go. Sorry, I'm just going to delete her actually. I was just going to show that if you, as you place people, we'll place her in again. But if I hold R down, before I place her, I can rotate her. There we go. So there she is, dressed up for gold. Just going to zoom in, sort of just see how detailed she is. I'll try not to be inappropriate. Just quickly on the chat, what have we got here? Thanks, Steve. Got to drop off now. Yeah, thanks. So that's pretty well it. So what I'm going to do now is, let's just finish with that. Just show you some pricing. So back to Vectorworks. And as I said, please, with Enscape or Lumion, of course, you can get it elsewhere, probably same price, but come through us and we get a bit of a commission on it. I've tried to be fair to all the programs so that, just show that they're best bits. So price is Lumion. Here we go. So Lumion, you get in two versions, Lumion and Lumion Pro. Lumion Pro has, what have I done with the quantities there? Yeah, Lumion Pro actually has 5,800 models, and that's what you're paying for there. Has a few more styles and things like that. Sorry, that's not duplicated. But it costs a mouth-watering £2,690 plus the VAT. So you've really got to need it, want it, to buy it. Whoops, what have I just done there? Don't know what I'm doing here. I do know how to use Vectorworks, really I do. Also, just upgrade prices are quite steep as well. I thought I'd look into the upgrade. Lumion Pro version 11 is out now. It is a permanent license rather than Enscape is a rental. And upgrade price is about £1,100. So just from one version ago, you're paying £1,000 more to jump up. So fairly significant premium to upgrade, but it's a permanent license. And as I talked to the Lumion distributor, and he said, "Yeah, well, if you think in terms of it being £20 a model, then yeah, it's probably good value." But there we go. Good. I'm just let's look at the chat and see if many thanks. I'm off now, but chat on Monday. Thanks, James. So go for it. Any further questions? Because we're going to wrap up fairly soon now. If anyone has got 5 minutes more, I will open up maybe some of the example scenes because they're sort of finished, whereas I just I didn't show you anything completely finished. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And yeah, we're doing full-on training at the moment. Lots of online training. You get the recordings with the training. So yeah, come to me for Vectorworks training or Enscape or even Lumion. Grand. Good. I will await the Twinmotion webinar next week. Yep, I'm looking forward to that too. There's reasons why I left it till the end. They're not necessarily justified, but yes, I look forward to Twinmotion too. Twinmotion, I haven't put the price down here, but Twinmotion, you get a permanent license for £263 plus the VAT only. So £29 a month for Enscape, pretty good. But £263, and you get a permanent license with all upgrades till the end of December 21. Good. We've still got 14 people there, so please ask any questions. And I can stay around you showing off some more models. Yes, Annabelle, I'll do that. Excellent. Good. Let me do that then. Okay, so these are just things that you could look at in Lumion yourself. So let's switch over to Lumion and bring it full screen. And if you look online and look at I don't know, I'm sure on the Lumion website there's all sorts of images, which they are fantastic. There's no doubt about it. You can make amazing things, and amazing things need amazing content. Okay, so if I go to the examples, not quite sure which example we're going to choose, but I don't think beach scenes are really us, are they? I do have a few. I do have a Lumion user in Sandbanks, so he's enjoyed using that. I think this would be a fairly good example. Do I have to do anything else here? Yes, okay, it's working. They're all pretty heavy files, so the example files are good in that they have, you know, pre-built, some, I think some of them probably have pre-built animations and pre-built photo scenes with different styles and things that applied to them. Let's just see, chat window. That's great. We still have 13 people. Do put your questions in the chat if you want me to talk about something in particular. So yeah, looks like I could maybe add another 32 gigs of RAM to bring me up to having an excellent machine, not just a very good machine. Here we go. So you can see here in this, let's just, probably keep the chat up there, that we've got here, some nicely planted, if you're a landscape designer, you can see that you've got lots of, I presume all of these plants came in from within Lumion. Things are Lumion examples. You've got nice grass here. Looking at the details of the grass, the curbs, things like the leaves are things which have been scattered. So if we go collect all, and this is something from the library. It's quite useful actually that something I didn't show you was fine detail nature. Some of these trees are probably the fine detail nature anyway, but these are fine detail trees which have you don't want to sort of put forests of these because they're very high detail, but as I said, these are probably, let's do a bit of W for walk and move up to here and just look at the beautiful detail on those trees. So really good detail on the trees. Actually, I'm not 100% sure that's a fine detail tree because I've seen things even better. Notice the birds flying around there. That's easy to put a flock of birds. Okay, Annabelle. Yes, sorry. Lumion bring through the vectors, trees, plants, our place. Yes, you can bring through the 3D trees. It doesn't maintain face me plants though. So that's a bit of a problem. I'm in talks with Enscape about making sure that does happen in Enscape, so that face me plants become, Enscape has face me objects and so does Lumion, but that linking the two so that they're still face me when they come through seems to be a bit of an issue. So neither of them do that at the moment, and nor does Twinmotion yet. Again, I'm a beta tester for Twinmotion, and I've got friends in Enscape, so I'm in very close contact with all of them, and I make it clear that that's what we want. So this is a fine detail tree. We'll just put this tree here and come up nice and close to it, and you can see it really is very nice. Individual leaves. Great. You've got things like depth of field in Enscape as well. That's an effect you'd put on in a camera. Okay, so looks like I've got a meeting in 5 minutes as well. Okay, out of the software platforms, what links with SketchUp as well for real-time? All of them. SketchUp is very, very well supported, Alexander. There are live plugins from SketchUp to Lumion, SketchUp to Twinmotion, and SketchUp to Enscape. We are resellers and specialists in SketchUp. Love SketchUp to bits. I just love Vectorworks more because you can do everything in Vectorworks, whereas SketchUp is limited. Vectorworks much more powerful modeling. It's got rendering built in, 2D and 3D. It's got the lot. So love SketchUp, but usually encourage people to move over to Vectorworks. But yeah, horse for courses. Let's just snooze that. Let's go and see what they've got here. So yeah, it's packed with all sorts of things which are perfect for demonstration. So I've got exterior wide scene. We seem to have some, no, not snow on the ground. It's just building. We've got exterior narrow. We've got exterior detail, different sun positions, exterior side, interior detail. I wanted to go to that. There's some which show sort of sketchy look. Well, you might as well have done that in SketchUp, really. Photo match, bird's eye. Yeah, it's got a photo match tool, so you can take a drone photograph, and as long as you can see some verticals and things, there's some photo match tool in this. Great. Okay, I will be stopping definitely at 12. I'll just go to the movies to see if they've put any movies here. Yes, they have. By the way, those things which went sort of wireframe are what they call proxies, and it just speeds up the rendering to enable these proxies. So let's just play this animation. Okay, and because my system, you know, it's showing those as proxies now. Now there is a place in the settings I could go to disable proxies, but so it would show them real time. So that's not really showing you a very. We've got a section here, so yeah, you can do orthographic views and sections through. That's something that you can do orthographic views in Enscape and in Twinmotion, and yes, you can clip Twinmotion as well. So that's yeah, that's great. So I think we're going to draw to a close there. Any final questions? Type now or forever. Sorry, I can't hear anyone because my speaker seems to need replugging every moment. So I hope that's been helpful to you, and yeah, hope to see you next week. Do get in touch, email me. Yeah, so we can see animated people there. Obviously, you can animate cars the same way. Hopefully that's shown you enough. Okay, so thank you everyone. I'll wrap it up there, and hope to see you next week. Do get in touch if you want to talk one-to-one. And we will put this up on the website if you want to see the one from before, or you want to see socially distant seating inside of Vectorworks. I've made a little movie of that on my YouTube channel. Search for CAD School inside of YouTube.